Hey guys, welcome back. Tracy here with the House of Chuckles, and today I've got something a little different. I'm going to do a DIY on make yourself your own stripper deck. Now that's a magic trick, and if you're not familiar with it, I'm really not going to go into too much detail on how to perform the trick. I'm hoping that you already know what it is, and this is just going to teach you how to make your own. That said, a stripper deck kind of dates back quite a number of years, clear back into almost any time the cards, regular playing cards were used, and it kind of starts back when people were cheating, and they would shave cards so they could identify it in a deck. You know, it'd be a little bit smaller, and they'd be able to maybe see it on the side that one card was smaller. That would give them an indicator of maybe that particular card. So it was used to cheat, basically. And so if you're into card cheats, this may be a video for you as well. But I'm basically going to go through on how to make a full deck of, and I'm going to say this is a more of a professional deck, because this is going to be a true cut from your first card to your last card. The cards are all going to be cut identical. And the way that we're going to do this is you can do it where you can cut, again, this is for people that already know what a stripper deck is. You can shave one side, you can shave them both, entirely up to you. You know, and how deep or thin the shavings are, totally up to you. And this is a great way to do it. And also, you know, if you want to make your own deck, whereas commercially you can buy a lot of the bicycle stripper decks already made, but as far as any of the other decks that are out there, they typically, you can't find them unless you get a hold of somebody to make them for you. So anyhow, that's what we're going to get into. So let's get started. Okay, so obviously you're going to need some cards, okay, and these are bicycle cards. And so you're going to need a deck of cards. It can be new or used. It doesn't matter in this case. But you're going to need a deck of cards. Doesn't matter what kind of cards you got. And this cutter right here, I have found to be, as far as inexpensive and being able to make your own professional deck, this is a great cutter. It's by Fiskars, and I'll get into a little bit more detail about this in a minute. You're also going to need a few Neodymium Magnets. Okay, now these are those really super strong magnets, and I've got them separated because if they were to go together, they are really super hard to get apart. You're going to need some extra cards. Now these are just so you can do some test cuts. Okay, if you do a lot with cards, if you're going to be making a lot of stripper decks, you know, save your ad cards, because you know you can use them for all kinds of different things. In this case, we're going to use them for test cuts, so that I know exactly where my cuts are going to be before I get into the deck, because I don't want to, you know, start off and mess up my ace of spades or something at the very beginning. So we got some test cut cards. We got a couple of plates. Now these plates, this is a strap plate for like 2x4s and whatnot, rafters type plates. You can get it at the hardware store. Now I should say all these parts, I will do a shopping cart down below of a couple of affiliate places like Amazon and eBay, where you can pick up these. This one here was an L bracket. And now I should say that this strap is actually going to go down and I'm going to use that as a back plate for the card when I get it in the cutter. It's just a back plate. This one here was an L bracket. I cut off part of it, but same thing. It was just for a back plate. I have a utility knife. And I brought that out to open up the cards. I'll show you how I open up the cards. I got a corner rounder. Now this is for after we've cut our cards, because they're going to have we'll just cut a piece off here and I'll show you. Okay, this is not going to be what we're doing. We're not going to shave a whole piece off like that. But so a corner rounder comes back in, and where you have a square corner, it will re-round it. Okay, so we got a corner rounder, and I got a little bin that as I get going, I'm going to put the cards in there as I shave them and as I corner round them. That just helps me organize. Okay, well, let's get started. So, like I mentioned, let me zoom in here on this. I use a utility knife, and what I do is I'll actually take, now let me show you what I do. I'll have 3 decks of cards like so, and I'll take the knife and I'll score across that seal on the card with the utility knife. So basically, get that in view for you. So basically, I just score across the top like that. Then I just take my thumb right here and pull down, and I can open up the deck of cards and the seal's cut. Okay, this is just a fast way to open up cards rather than trying to find that little strap and try to wrap it around. So that's how I do that part. Alright, let's get to this little guy here. Let me zoom out a little bit. So, the back plate. What you do is you take a card. I lift the cutter up just a little bit so the card can push up against the blade. And then I take the what's going to be my back plate and just set it right there. Turn it around, and this is where the magnets come into play. Now this will hold my plate in place. Okay? Now, let's shave off just ever so slightly a piece of the card so I can show you how thin you can actually do this. So we're going to just slide that plate just ever so slightly. And when you put the card in place, you don't want to push against the plate because you don't want the plate sliding on you. So you don't want to put force against the plate with the card. You just want to set it up against there, and then because the card is at an angle, okay, so the card's at an angle, it's actually going to only rest on the corner. The corner's actually going to be the only thing that rests on the back plate. You want the card to totally rest on this side plate here, and then just push down, and it's just going to be the corner touching here. And with this particular cutter, what I like is you can hold this plastic piece down, your card's in place, and you can cut. Now, I don't know if you can see how thin that is, but that's just, you know, you could even shave thinner than that. You know, you just gotta micro move that back or forth until you get it just like you want. Okay, let's set up for the cards that I want. Now, I like to only cut on the right hand side, the top right hand side, when looking at the cards. When I say the top right hand side, I want to cut here. Okay, I don't like to cut both sides. You can do it, but I just personally don't see a reason to do it. And when you cut on this particular side, you're actually shortening the distance between the edge of the card and the pip. And the more you take off, the more obvious it shows up. I find that just cutting on the non-pip side, you can shave off quite a bit and it's not all that noticeable. I also like to cut the card only about 2/3 of the way down. So I shave it at a taper and stop at about 2/3 of the way down. It's just a personal preference, but I like this to be the full width of the card as I'm handling with a stripper deck. So we are going to just do a little adjustment, and this is where you can do your test cuts. You know, this cut all the way down, I don't like it that far, so I want to make just a slight adjustment. And I think I want just a little bit more off the top. Right now I'm at about 1 millimeter, and I'm going to go for about 1.5 millimeters, which like 1.25 millimeters. I know that sounds little, but you know, this is just a preference, okay? You don't have to follow what I do. Just find what you like, okay? So we set it against the back plate. Just set it against there. Push it down or up. Hold it with the plastic bar. Cut. I'm still cutting too far down, so I'm going to make some more adjustments. And that's workable. That's a pretty deep cut. So I'm going to go just ever so slightly. And hopefully yeah, that's okay. I could go a little less of a cut, but for what we're doing, I'm not going to sit here all day and adjust it. But that's pretty good. It's still not quite. I went a little further than the 2/3 down, but I still left my edge. So we'll go with that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just cut away. And then we'll fast forward it as I do this. So there's my cards. There's my little bin to put them in, and let's get started. There it is, guys. That's the shaving part of it. You know, you can see the little pieces there. I'll just throw them on the floor because that's the way we roll around here. Now I want to show you how nice of a cut that does. Oh, let me see if we can get a good close-up there. You can see how true that is all the way through. You don't see, you know, cards zigzagging back and forth. Each card is cut identical, which is awesome. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to round the corner. Now this particular corner rounder has 3 different sizes. You got a 7mm, a 10mm, and a 4mm. The 4mm is what we're going to use. However, if you can find a 1/8, a 1/8 is more true to the corner of a regular bicycle card. 4mm is close, and it's kind of hard to find these little handheld corner rounders in American measurements, so like a 1/8. You can find it in more expensive corner rounders, but you may only be able to get a 4mm. It's close, not that recognizable. So let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and round the corners. And you can see the corner is rounded. So let's do the rest of them. We'll do that real quick here. Okay, and there you can see the corners have been rounded. Now there's a couple there that I probably want to go back and just hit it one more time. I can see they're not totally even, but pretty dang close. Not that anybody would ever notice that if you're doing a magic trick. Now, real quickly, like I said, I'm not going to teach you how to do the trick, but if you know how it's done, let me zoom out here a little bit. If you know how it's done, a spectator takes a card and they memorize it and they stick it back in the deck anywhere they want. You can shuffle it again if you want. And then whenever you're ready, you can strip their card out. That is why it's called a stripper deck. And there it is. So like I said, I'll put a shopping cart down below of all the things that I used. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. If there's a DIY, a do-it-yourself thing you'd like me to do as far as magic or joke items, let me know. Maybe it's something I'd like to do as well. Be sure to subscribe, because there will be more of these coming up. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.